antithetical to our best interest. They don't have the last word. We are the we and we the people. We have the last word. And we are not going to take this lightly. We are going to do everything that we can lawfully, litigation, but also protestation. These two things are running in concert with each other, in tandem with each other. It is important for us to understand that this battle is one that's been fought since our arrival in this country, and we cannot abandon it now. Our watch, you are right. This is our watch. We can't let it go on our watch. We've got to pass the torch on to the next generation with a Voting Rights Act that will allow us to be elected to Congress, because many of us are about to leave, and I'll leave with this. I'm one of those persons whose district has been moved to another county. No black person is going to win that seat. I can prognosticate that. No black person. So there's going to be one less black person in the Congress of the United States, because President Trump's desire to have additional seats, notwithstanding the fact that the Voting Rights Act is still legal. There's one less. Texas is not the end. Texas is but the genesis. The revelation that yet to come.
The government is shut down, but guess who's in his office on Capitol Hill? Democratic Congressman of Texas, Congressman Al Green. Hello, Congressman.
Hello. How are you? It's such an honor and a privilege to be with you. Thank you so much for your very kind introduction, although I don't enjoy seeing myself.
I know you were like, where did she get that from? I've been looking here and there in the nooks and crannies to find out who's saying what about what. But you said some very poignant things yesterday, because redistricting has happened in Texas. And there's an effort, the Supreme Court action in Louisiana. It's there. I mean, we're hearing about it everywhere. Talk to me. I understand that if this happens, many Republican states will wind up changing districts. It will knock out Black leaders, Black lawmakers, Black elected officials from their districts, as well as our Latina brothers and sisters. Is that true?
Absolutely true. And unfortunately, if the Supreme Court does this, the first thing that they will have to do to eviscerate all of Section 2 is conclude that there's not a problem with race when it comes to gerrymandering. And of course, we who live the life as people of color understand that there still is a problem. I like to let people know that the Civil War ended slavery, but it didn't end the root cause, which was racism. And then we had convict leasing, which lasted for nearly 100 years. And that was ended, but it didn't end the root cause of it, which was racism. Brown versus the Board of Education ended what was called lawful segregation, which was another form of racism. But it didn't end the racism. It just sort of dealt with desegregation and allowed us to go into places without being harmed that we couldn't go into before. So we still have a question of race that has to be dealt with in this country. And until we deal with that question of race, then we can't conclude that the person who has the hand on the pen that's drawing the lines, that person is being absolutely truthful when that person draws a Black district out of existence, where I say Black district, one where the Black people have selected the candidate of their choice. When they draw that person out of existence politically, that person was doing it for political purposes, because the Supreme Court has said, well, if you're doing it for political purposes, it's okay. But how do we know? What is the acid test to ascertain whether it's being done, other than to have that person confess, or you got to have some paper trail that few people would leave? So we find ourselves now with the Supreme Court putting us in a position, if they do this to Section 2, such that we won't have a meaningful defense to lines that have been generated based upon race for the purpose of eliminating African-American districts. And it is prognosticated that we can lose 20 or more African-American seats, because many of them are coalition seats, meaning Blacks and people of color, or Blacks and others, have coalesced to elect a Black person to Congress. Many of those seats are going to be eviscerated. And as a result, you'll have fewer people of color in Congress. And as a result, you'll have fewer people who will say the word racism and bring it up when appropriate based upon their life, having lived experiences that are associated with invidious discrimination.
Can we get into what you said yesterday about the state of Texas and the redistricting and when it comes to your district?
Well, thank you. The President of the United States of America, most people are aware that he and I are not exchanging Christmas cards right now.
To
There's
say
always
the least.
hope. But the president, by and through his Justice Department, on his command, sent a letter to the state of Texas. The Justice Department actually sent the letter. And in that letter, there was an indication that there were districts in the state of Texas that were drawn so that African Americans would be preferred and somehow the choice of the person who was drawing the districts. And he decided the districts as District 9, the one that I happen to represent currently, and District 18, the one that was represented by Jackson Lee, and then, of course, Sylvester Turner. Both have had their demise. And, of course, in District that is right there in Houston, the 29th Congressional District, represented by Sylvia Garcia, and the 33rd were represented by Mark Veazey. Now, all of us are people of color, and it was pretty obvious, painfully obvious, that the president wanted to eliminate districts, but he wanted 4 of them to be districts that had people of color being represented in Congress. And so they sent this letter to the Attorney General of the state of Texas, and he fired back and said, no, we don't do business that way in Texas. We did not draw these lines so that Black people would get elected. We drew these lines so that we could elect Republicans, which is acceptable. That's politically acceptable now. And he also went on to say that the senator who had her hand on the pen, that she has testified in court that this is not the case. So the president introduces race, and then we have the problem of having to now prove that it's race, but that letter helps enormously, and we have presented that in court. Well, the state of Texas also has a history that is worthy of some reflection at this point. The state of Texas is the state that had all-white primaries. And these all-white primaries were challenged by a dentist out of Houston. His name was Lonnie Smith. He took a case all the way to the Supreme Court. Supreme Court said, Texas, you cannot have all-white primaries. You cannot exclude people of color from the primary. Texas said, oh, okay, well, we won't do that. We'll just have all-white pre-primaries. So the state of Texas went on to have these pre-primaries, and then all of the other things that are obstacles to allowing people of color to vote. Well, the latest, of course, is this gerrymandering that's taking place, and we're fighting it in court. We're going to fight it not only in court, we're going to fight it in the streets, peacefully protesting. I emphasize the peacefully part because we don't want anyone to think that we're going to go out and do something that would cause harm to someone's person or someone's property. We're not going to do this, but I think peaceful protestation is the means by which we're going to maintain some of what we have. I don't think we can overlook it. It's what got us here, and it's what's going to keep us here and help us to move forward. So we are fighting the state of Texas, and the state of Texas is fighting back, and we haven't received a judgment. We believe sometime either later this month or early next month, we'll get a decision from the state of Texas about its gerrymandering.
So I'm going to say this to you. There have been moves on the so-called political opponents of the president. You are one of those political opponents. You got up in this, I don't know if you call it the State of the Union address or his address to Congress, because this is his second time as president, and he already knows. You got up with your cane and told him he was lying.
Bring me the cane, please. Yes, I just asked that, bring my cane over. I have people.
Yes, get the cane, please.
I have people who approach
that
me.
Cane
this
is
an
famous.
interesting story. People who approach me as a result, and they say, may I take a picture with the cane?
The cane is famous.
I would not want to run against this cane.
Oh my.
But here's what happened. I did not go there with this intentionality of doing what I did, honestly. I was collecting my portable items, about to make my move to make my departure early on in his speech. And my cane is a part of what I carry.
Your portable items,
Uh,
yes.
and so I collected my coat. It was a cold night. But he started to talk about his mandate. And as he spoke of his mandate in such a resolute fashion, something just came over me.
Yeah,
I,
it did.
I could not help myself. I stood and I said, "You don't have a mandate to cut Medicaid." And my colleagues who were to my right became very vociferous, and they were loudly
Hold the cane up
protesting.
again, please. Let me see it. Let me no. Yes. Okay. All right. So, oh, it's engraved too. Okay. I
Yeah,
just want to see it
yeah.
up close.
If it somehow makes its way out of my hands, at least people would get some sense of who it might belong to. My colleagues were really beside themselves. And so I, understanding that the president may not have heard me, now I realize what I'm doing. So I'm not going to make the excuse of this was just an emotional outburst that I had no control over. I realize what I'm doing now. And so I decide I'm going to tell him and make sure he heard me. And
With
then
your cane.
I go on to say, you don't have a mandate to cut Medicaid. And then I went on to say Medicare and Social Security. These are three of the things that have had their birth as a result of Democrats having the authority to get them done.
So let me say this again. You are a political opponent of the president. It's bad enough you did that, but how many times have you called for impeachment of Donald Trump? How
Well,
many?
I called for it probably a good number of times more than I've actually filed the articles and required a vote. I've brought it to a vote approximately 4 times, and will likely do it again, given what's going on in the country now. But
Oh boy.
I just don't think that we can tolerate a president behaving the way this president is behaving and not at least let the country know that it's unacceptable and there is a methodology by which this can be dealt with. And even if we don't get the votes that we need now, we can lay the foundation for getting those votes at a later time.
So I want to go to the chat really fast because I want to get as many
Okay.
questions as I can with you before time runs out. Kelly Trimble says, "My hero." Courtney says, "My rep in Texas!" Exclamation mark! Exclamation mark! Omar said, "There is no expiration date on racism in America!" Exclamation! That's right. Natalie Lego says, "The next time Democrats control the House and the Senate, the first priority must be to expand SCOTUS. This was my biggest peeve when Dems and Biden had control. Biden commissioned a study of SCOTUS expansion, and Biden ended up doing nothing." And then Leanne says, "I wonder if anyone would vote for Republicans again. They're too violent."
Well, I'm glad she said that. Let me respond to the last question. I think that this president is building up a following that is going to beg us to allow him to stay in office.
Mhm.
There are people who approve of what's happening with the National Guard. There are people who approve of people being deported without having due process. There are people who approve of his calling for a judge to be impeached if he differs with the opinion of the judge. This president not only believes that he is above the law as a result of the Supreme Court's decision, he believes he is the law. He believes he is the law.
He
And
says he's the top cop of the nation. That's supposed to be the
I
top
assure
general.
you, he has a following that agrees with him. And I assure you that he is not going to lead quietly. He is doing what he can now to inculcate within the military his people. He wants them in place so that if he should decide to do something to prolong his stay beyond his term of office, he will have people who are going to look the other way. And that's very unfortunate. So
Yeah.
we have to now start to do what we can to change this circumstance that he is developing. And if we don't do it, we will find ourselves beyond authoritarianism. That's where we are now. This is an
This is a dictatorship. This
Yeah,
is just
yeah,
pure dictatorship.
yeah. So we'll be beyond that. We'll be into a dictatorship that we cannot change immediately because we won't have the power of the vote to do it. He is doing all that he can to change the voting system in this country so that people of color will have little that they can do to change things by virtue of the vote. He's trying his best, and he's going to remove many of us from Congress. And as a result, he'll have a Republican majority that will do all that they can to maintain his preeminence because they're demonstrating it now. Whatever he desires, they do. And that includes the House, the Senate, and I believe the Supreme Court.
Puppeteering, that's what it's called. Affirmative action. Now, let's talk about affirmative action. And yesterday in the Supreme Court, apparently, some of those who are against the Voting Rights Act are saying that the affirmative action ban basically nullifies the second district in Louisiana that they're talking about, the crux of Louisiana versus Calais. What do you say to that?
Well, here's what I have said, and I will continue to say. The Supreme Court just got it wrong, and they're getting it wrong. It wasn't that long ago that they approved this very district and these plans. They've been approved by the courts, and as a result, they should remain approved. But the Supreme Court has decided that they're going to take a look at Section 2, the last vestiges of it, and if they eliminate this, then we'll lose that seat in Louisiana. But that's not the last of it. And what's happening in Texas is not the last of it. We're at Genesis now. The revelations are yet to come in other states, Ohio, in Indiana, in Missouri, where Emmanuel Cleaver is on the chopping block politically. And so we're going to suffer some great losses, and it's very apparent that they don't plan to stop. So I can only say to you, when they're doing this in Mississippi, we should all feel the pain. We can't let it be just the people in Mississippi. This is all of us. We should feel the pain.
Mary Frances Berry brought that piece up saying that we've come back before from this. And coming back from this means the people, right?
Yes.
It means people. Do you believe that midterms will be a reckoning with people going to the polls because of all of this pain and this hurt?
I do, and I do believe it, but there is a proviso that we have to continue to maintain a presence in this sense, in the sense of we the people. This King's march and rally, I support this. This is we the people speaking. Peaceful protest is as old as the Pilgrims landing at Plymouth Rock. Farmers coming to Washington, D.C. with their tractors, claiming that they were not being treated fairly with their land. It's just as old as people deciding that they are having conditions that are insufferable and they want to do something about it. This is the hallmark of change in this country to a certain extent. So I think we have to continue to keep the protest movement going because we are the we and we the people. And we the people will have the last word if we choose to have it. We have to choose to have the last word, and protestation is a part of that last word.
Are you going to be in D.C. or Texas for No King's Day?
I will be in D.C. I will be there for the King's March. No Kings March. No authoritarians. Okay, no dictators. I'll be there. Now, I have not been told that I will be given an opportunity to speak, but I have indicated that I would like to address this issue. I think that there are some things that a person who is presently litigating against the state of Texas to preserve a congressional seat, who has been litigating most of the time that he's been in Congress, who has demonstrated that he will stand against the president and say to his face, not behind his back, but to his face before the world, that you don't have the mandate to do all of these things that you're doing.
With that cane that's in your hand.
I want to be there, and I will bring my cane with me if given the opportunity to speak.
So, and today is day 16. Day 16, we're going to the 17th day of the government shutdown.
Yes.
You talked about white farmers that came up upset. White
They should be, and well, they should be.
Upset now.
And well, they should be. Yes.
SNAP plays into the recipients and into the farmers.
Yes.
Produce, healthcare. In 2 weeks is open enrollment.
Yes.
And if things aren't straightened out, there's going to be an increase. The Affordable Care Act was put into place to help people get insurance. They're going to price people out of insurance.
Yes.
And then you have other things, you know, people not being paid. Trump said today, we pay who we want to pay. That, or it was today or yesterday, my days are running together, before President of the United States, whose politics should be about people, for him to say that, it's letting you know something.
Yes, it is. And just on the insurance point that you've made, the Affordable Care Act allowed people who were fired to have insurance beyond what was called COBRA. This was a deadly insurance that cost so much. People couldn't afford this transitional insurance that they could acquire called COBRA. But if you have the Affordable Care Act, then you can buy into it, even if you have a pre-existing condition. And by the way, being a woman was a pre-existing condition at the time because of pregnancy. So the Affordable
C-section
Care
with a pre-existing condition, yes.
again.
C-section, a C-section.
Yes, yes,
Yes.
yes.
Yeah.
So the Affordable Care Act has really gained favor among the masses in this country. And when the premiums start to go up, doubling in some cases, and in some places they may even triple, I'm told, and these premiums start to go up in these copays, people are going to realize who their friends are. My hope is that they will. And it won't be people who are saying, we're your friend. It will be the people who are fighting now to protect your insurance, your Medicare, your Medicaid, and they are linked together, trying to protect them, and they will cut. We were against the cuts. The president was told in a joint session of Congress that he didn't have a mandate to cut, and he said that he wouldn't, and he went right out and told the rest of his colleagues, yes, we're going to cut, and they did. So we have to protect these rights to have your health care.
In the remaining time we have, I want to go to the chat. People are blowing this chat up.
Well,
so education,
let's talk.
yeah, educate. They are loving you and your cane. Yes, your engraved with your initials on it. Yes, I just want people to know that you are not talking about. There's no mandate to me. You just using it.
Right.
Showing us what it is. Yes.
Right. And by the way, the cane was a gift.
Oh, it's a beautiful gift. Okay. Education is a lamp. How do we put a stop to TPUSA's harassment of HBCUs through their Candace and mediocre white male conspirators Blexit? This is terrorism.
Yes, I think that we should support these young people who decide, I say young people, I've celebrated my 19th birthday 4 times, and I'm now 3 times into my 5th 19th. But I'm Houston's oldest teenager. So these young people, when they decide that they're going to take a stand, and they're doing it peacefully, we have to support them. We have to take a stand with them. And because some one person does something that is inappropriate, we can't let that taint all of the young people. These young people make a difference, so I say support them with their protests. But I also say these universities have to file lawsuits to protect themselves. They should not allow a president to dictate what the courses are, the curriculum will be at these law schools and these various institutions of higher education where the president doesn't want slavery, the truth about slavery is taught. He doesn't want that. Well, we have to hear it because these persons were the economic foundational mothers and fathers of the country who suffered for more than 240 years to make America the country it is today. Their story has to be told. So we have to fight back. That's the solution. Fight back. People who are in the universities, people without, all of us together, fight back.
Okay, I'm going back to the chat before they pull me out. We've got
Okay.
a few minutes left, and I think
I'll bridge my answers. Okay.
Okay, no, you don't have to. It's that Katie Armstrong says, "I'm here in Texas. I just saw an announcement where the Texas Governor Abbott has deployed the National Guard to certain areas here in Texas during No King's Day. Honestly, it won't be enough of them." Leanne says, "Can Dems release Epstein files? The Republicans won't and are doing illegal activities. So it seems like it would be just." Okay. Tamara Johnston says, "I'll ask the question again, as I have everywhere. All of these people who are loyal to Trump, what do they think is is in it for them? Don't they know that they will get nothing out of this? Susan Marie Rink, ACA is so much needed. That BBB bill is evil. Respect humanity. Take care of others. Amen. All right. And let me see. Katie Armstrong again, Congressman Green. In addition, once Dems are back, there must be rules or passage of laws that create solid guardrails from what's happening now. Additionally, no one with Trump's background should be allowed to run for president, let alone any public office. Ooh, I agree. Trump following, okay, Natalie Lego says, Trump's following frighteningly similar, Trump's following are frighteningly similar to Jim Jones' People's Temple followers. If you don't know that story, Google it. No, Chat GPT. That's a big one. There was even a movie of the week on that one years ago. It's very scary. Just don't drink the Kool-Aid. Just remember that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Literally.
Literally. Celia says all these people took their oath of office to the Constitution, not to any man. They should remember that. That's right. That's right. Thank you, everybody in the chat. Yes, sir.
Yeah, let me give a quick response to that, and I'd like to have a closing comment if I may.
Yes, you can.
Okay, my response to all that was just said is that we have a great challenge before us, but we have great weapons that we didn't have when John Lewis was at the Edmund Pettus Bridge on Bloody Sunday. You know, with all of this social media that we have, we can communicate and we can join each other. And we have to see this as a collective effort. It can't be about the people in Texas or the people in California, their response to Texas. It's got to be about us across this country believing that this is our watch. And on our watch, we will not allow the gains that were made, the suffering that people endured to go without a fight. And I don't think we should let it go at all, but I'm going to say without a fight. We have to remember Stroner Goodman and Cheney. They lost their lives just trying to get people to vote. These are the things that we can't overlook. That's right. One black man and a Jewish person there with them. So we just can't overlook these things. And my final comment, if there's not another, I want to say this. People are saying that I'm going to move into the 18th congressional district to run for Congress. This is not true. The 18th has moved to me. My home is where it has been for 30 years. The 18th has moved to me and surrounded me and my constituents. I'm not announcing that I'm going to run for the new 18th, but I am saying this. If I'm going to run, I would surely run from the area where my home is and where my constituents make up more than 60 to 70% of the constituents in the congressional district. So I am not announcing, but I will tell you this. I'm going to be on the ballot.
News, though. That's breaking news.
I will be on the ballot. Thank you so much.
Ooh, that's breaking news. Congressman Al Green, thank you so much. I appreciate you for always showing up and showing out, and this time with your cane. Yes, thank you.
I appreciate you, and I want your viewers to know that your reach is quite huge. When I am on your program, I will go back to the airport and people start to greet me at the airport to tell me they saw me on your program. I don't know how you have amassed the following that you have, but it's a great following and it's a loyal following. So thank you, one and all. Thank you.
It's 28 years of integrity and truth. People know me. I'm Baltimore's finest.
All right.
State's own. Robin and Vivian's baby girl.
All right. All
Thank
right.
you, sir.
Thank you.
You take care, and you know you can come back anytime, Congressman. Love you more.